The forest stood untouched, ancient, brooding, and silent, a relic of a time before memory. The villagers knew its paths. They kept to the light. They feared the shadows the forest cast. The village nestled at the forest's edge, a place of simple lives and old traditions. Its inhabitants aged like the trees around them. They lived and died under the unjudging gaze of the ancient woods. No one alive remembered when the village was founded. It seemed to have always been there, a symbiotic relationship with the woods around it. The villagers took only what they needed. They gave thanks for the bounty. They never spoke of the secrets the woods held. It was an unspoken agreement, a pact of survival. The forest was vast, its heart a place of mystery. Some said it held the ruins of a forgotten world. Others whispered of strange creatures and ancient magic. But these were just stories told to frighten children, or so they told themselves. Deep within the woods, hidden by vines and shrouded in mist, lay a secret. A temple of impossible angles and ancient stone. It had stood there for centuries, untouched and unseen, until now.
Elara was different. She always had been. From the moment she could walk, she was drawn to the forest. Its mysteries called to her. She knew every path, every stream, every hidden glade. The forest held no fear for her, only wonder. Where others saw danger, she saw beauty. Where others saw darkness, she saw mystery. She would spend hours wandering the woods, listening to the whispers of the wind, talking to the animals. The forest was her sanctuary, her confidant, her friend. One day, while exploring a particularly remote part of the forest, Elara stumbled upon something extraordinary, a path she had never seen before. It was narrow and overgrown, almost invisible to the untrained eye, but Elara was drawn to it, as if by an unseen hand. The path led her deeper into the forest, further than she had ever been before. The trees grew thicker. The air grew heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. But Elara was not afraid. She felt a sense of anticipation, as if something wonderful was waiting for her. The whispers started subtly. At first, Elara thought it was just the wind in the trees, but as she walked, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to be coming from the path itself, urging her forward. "Come," they whispered, "come to us." Elara hesitated. She had never heard anything like it before. It was both alluring and frightening. A part of her wanted to turn back, to run back to the safety of the village, but another part of her, the part that craved adventure, the part that embraced the unknown, that part of her urged her onward. She took a deep breath and continued down the path. It wound its way through the trees like a serpent, twisting and turning, leading her ever deeper into the heart of the forest. The whispers grew louder with every step. They seemed to be seeping into her mind, filling her with a strange sense of urgency. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows through the trees. The whispers seemed to grow stronger in the fading light. They were almost deafening now, a chorus of voices whispering her name, beckoning her forward. "Elara!" they hissed. "Elara, come to us." Finally, the path opened up into a small clearing. In the center stood a sight that made Elara's breath catch in her throat. A temple, but not like any she had ever seen before. It was ancient and imposing, built of dark stone that seemed to absorb the fading light. Vines and creepers crawled over its surface, threatening to consume it entirely. The temple was a testament to time, to the enduring power of nature, and to the secrets that lay hidden within its walls. Elara stood there for a moment, just staring at the temple, her mind reeling. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. It was both beautiful and terrifying.
The entrance to the temple was a gaping maw of darkness, a jagged opening in the stone that seemed to beckon Elara closer. She could feel the whispers emanating from within, calling to her, drawing her in.
She took a step closer, her hand brushing against the cold stone. The whispers intensified, swirling around her like a vortex, pulling her towards the darkness. "Elara, enter," they whispered. "Enter and claim your destiny."
Fear gnawed at the edges of Elara's mind, but it was a distant thing, drowned out by the allure of the whispers, by the promise of something more, something beyond the mundane routines of village life. The whispers were inside her head now, an insistent drumbeat against her skull. She could no longer tell where her thoughts ended and the whispers began. It was as if the temple itself was calling to her, beckoning her to enter and unlock its secrets. Elara stepped across the threshold and into the temple. The air inside was cold and stale, heavy with the scent of dust and decay. The darkness was absolute, so thick it felt like a physical presence. Elara fumbled in her bag for her tinderbox, her fingers trembling slightly.
A spark, a flicker, and then a small flame blossomed to life, casting dancing shadows on the walls around her. Elara held the torch aloft, her heart pounding in her chest.
The temple's interior was just as imposing as its exterior. The walls were lined with statues, their features frozen in expressions of silent agony. Their eyes seemed to follow Elara's every move. The statues were life-sized, depicting men and women in various states of torment. Some were bound with chains, others were impaled on spikes, their faces twisted in expressions of pain and terror. Elara shuddered, averting her gaze from their hollow eyes. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, judged. The path through the temple was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, each one decorated with macabre murals and tapestries, depicting scenes of sacrifice and suffering. The air grew colder as Elara descended deeper into the temple, as if she were descending into the heart of the earth itself.
The whispers had fallen silent, replaced by a heavy silence that pressed down on Elara's ears, amplifying the sound of her own heartbeat. She could feel her senses heightened, as if the temple itself was watching her, testing her.
Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Elara emerged into a large chamber in the heart of the temple. The chamber was circular, with a high domed ceiling. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, and on top of the pedestal rested a small wooden box. It was plain and unadorned, but Elara felt an overwhelming sense of dread as she approached it. Section 8. The Cost of Curiosity. The box was sealed with a simple latch. Elara hesitated for a moment, her hand hovering over the latch. She could feel a strange energy emanating from the box, a palpable aura of power that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. She took a deep breath and unfastened the latch. The lid of the box creaked open, revealing its contents. Elara gasped, her eyes widening in horror. The box was empty, but as she stared into its depths, she could feel her mind being drawn inwards, as if the box itself was a gateway to another realm. The air around the box shimmered and distorted. The temperature in the chamber plummeted. The stone walls around her seemed to buckle and warp, as if reality itself was unraveling. Elara tried to step back, to break free from the box's hold, but it was too late. The box had her. It was pulling her in. Section 9. Whispers of the Lost. Elara screamed, but her cry was swallowed by the maelstrom that was consuming her. She felt herself being stretched and pulled, her body contorting in impossible ways. Then, everything went black. The box slammed shut, its latch clicking back into place as if nothing had happened. The air shimmered and then stilled. The temperature in the chamber returned to normal. The only evidence that Elara had ever been there was the faint echo of her scream. The statues lining the walls of the temple seemed to leer down at the spot where Elara had stood, their silent laughter echoing through the empty chambers. The temple had claimed another victim, its hunger for souls sated, for now. Section 10. Time marches on, leaving memories behind. The villagers searched for Elara for weeks, but they found no trace of her, no sign of her passing. She had simply vanished, swallowed whole by the forest she loved so much. As the years turned into decades, the memory of Elara faded. She became nothing more than a cautionary tale.
A story whispered around the fire on cold winter nights, a reminder of the dangers of straying too far from the path, of the darkness that lurked at the heart of the forest, waiting to claim those who dared to venture too close.
The temple stood abandoned, its secrets lost to time, a silent monument to Elara's curiosity and to the price she had paid for it. Section 11. Heed the whispers. The whispers still echoed through the forest. Fainter now, but still there. A constant reminder of the darkness that lay hidden beneath the surface of the world. A warning to those who would dare to seek out the unknown.
To heed the whispers of the wind, for the forest held many secrets, some best left undisturbed, and some things once seen could never be unseen.